Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. This is the first episode of Creative Talks Live. I'm still working out the kinks of this, so bear with me for a moment while I get everything set up. And let's get this started. As you can see by the title, today we're gonna be talking about Logic Pro versus Studio One. Now, this is an update y'all been asking for a while, and I decided to do it like this. I hope y'all like the new format that I'm doing, where I take one of y'all questions, I answer it live, and I plan on doing this every day, 4 days a week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And if you have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments. Again, this is a new format. We're going to work through the kinks together. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what I can improve on. If you have any questions and you want me to answer, go ahead, let me know down in the comments. But let's go ahead and jump into this. So today we're going to talk about Studio One and Logic Pro. I've been using both of these dolls. Logic Pro I've been using for over a decade now, and Logic Pro I'm going on my second year right now. Not Logic Pro, Studio One. Studio One I'm using for my second year now. So with that being said, this is not an in-depth review of both of them. This is just a quick rundown of what both of them do, the pros and the cons of both of them, and which one do I recommend, which one am I using. We're going through all this today, so let's go ahead and jump into the video. And I'm going to give you my quick thoughts real quick. So, Logic Pro. My thoughts about Logic Pro right now is, number one, it's quick and easy. It's something that everybody, no matter what their skill level, can use, and they can get the most out of it. It's a program that you can learn and grow with, and it's very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. And the entry point is pretty much low to non-existent. The only con about that is you're gonna need a MacBook. It's a Mac only program, so if you're not using Mac, then you cannot get into you can't get into Logic. Other than that, like I said, it's easy to get into, and free updates. Free updates, and this is only a pro because Studio One just upgraded from Studio One 5 to Studio One 6, and that's a paid upgrade. Logic Pro, I had it for over a decade now, and I never paid for an upgrade. All my upgrades automatically been free, and that's a good thing if you don't want to pay for upgrades. And let's keep it moving. That's all I got for for Logic Pro right now. And again, those are just my quick thoughts about Logic. Studio One is Windows and Mac. That automatically put it above probably 50% of y'all that's gonna watch this. Y'all probably using Windows, and you can use Studio One with Windows. The thing is, the entry point, there's multiple ways to get into it, but they all cost money. So you have to fork up the money for Studio One, but there is a lot of ways to get into Studio One, and that's one thing that I like about it. I'm gonna get into that in the next section when I'm talking about the pricing. The drag and drop nature of Studio One is phenomenal. You jump into Studio One, and you need a plug-in. You don't have to do much searching for it. You just drag it in there, drop it, and it's good to go. I love that. It's great. It's phenomenal. Like, really. And at first, you might not think that's going to help with your workflow, but as I go through this video, you will understand why I say this is phenomenal. Let's see. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's my quick thoughts about both of them. Again, they both great tools. You can both learn and grow with both of them. I feel like Logic got the edge just because it's been around a lot longer. It is a greater learning tool. I feel like if you're using Logic or even GarageBand, they both great tools to learn. And I might as well just go ahead and jump into the pricing right now. So as far as pricing goes, we're going to start with Logic first. And Logic is As you can see right here, it is 19.99, $200 to get into Logic. And again, that's not a bad price point, but Logic is pretty much free if you have a Mac. And I am talking about with GarageBand. You got GarageBand, it's pretty much Logic Lite. You got all the tools you need in there. You got all the stock plugins you need in there, and it's great if you just starting out. If you don't know if you want to do music production, if you want to do any engineering work, anything like that, definitely look into GarageBand, and especially if you got a Mac. It's free. Just download it on there, and you can get the word. And Billie Eilish actually recorded her songs in GarageBand. And again, it's a great tool. It's a great entry point for Logic. So once you get GarageBand, start using GarageBand, learn the GarageBand, and once you feel like you need more power, then it's only $200 just to upgrade to Logic Pro. And like I said, it's a great tool. I love it. I've been using it for over a decade, so I can speak on it for years. So let's go into Studio One. Now, Studio One had different price points. It's different things, and We're gonna go one by starting with Studio One artists. As you can see, Studio One artist is here, and the price is $100. And yes, it's $100 cheaper, but you're not getting the full power of Studio One. But at the same time, I also feel like this is more than enough power that you need. If you got Studio One artists, it's the entry level, if you want to say it that way, but you pretty much got everything that Logic have. You got the mix window, you're gonna have the arrange window, you can produce in it, you can master in it. Only thing you missing between the artist and the professional version is the mastering. The mastering projects. And I really feel like you don't need that. I honestly don't use the mastering project, so I don't feel like the extra price is worth it. That $100 initially for Studio One, I think that's a great price. And again, it's Windows and Mac, so if you download it, you can download it on both systems. You can bounce back and forth between both systems. No matter where you go, you know you can use Studio One. So, like I said, Studio One entry price $100. But then you got the professional version, which you can see here, $400. The professional version, you do get, again, the mastering. You do get extra little tweaks here and there. But again, I don't think it's worth it. I really don't think it's worth it for just the mastering that you get out of it. It's neat to use. And if you mastering a lot of albums for artists, if you mastering a lot of albums for artists, definitely go ahead and get it. It'd be great for the artists when you mastering for them, and you can put all the tracks in there together and really make sure they have the same sounds and they sound similar. That is great. That is wonderful. But for your everyday artists, if you just releasing singles or you're not even 100% sure how you can master, you can put everything, you can bounce everything out to, you can bust everything out. That's the word I'm looking for. You can bust everything out to an aux channel and throw your mastering chain on that aux channel. And that'll work just as fine. That'll work just as good as having a separate window you have to go to master everything. Now, the neat thing about it is if you do anything to the mix, if you do anything to the mix or any arrangement in the arrange window, in the song window, as they call it, if you do anything over there, it will automatically update the mix window. It'll automatically bounce it and update it in the master window, the project window. Yes, project. I'm sorry, the names is like confusing. But on the project window is where you do your mixing and mastering. Your song window is where you do your production, singing, mixing, and mastering. Your mixing, not your mastering. But yes. So we got that. And again, I don't think it's necessary. That extra, $300? I really don't think it's necessary. You might get extra plugins if you get that. But again, I use a lot of third party. So it didn't affect me at all. Just using artists. Now, there's another way that you can get into it, and that's with Studio One Spear. Now, as you can see, this is a subscription, and it's monthly or yearly. Me, this is what I have. I pay yearly for it, which is 165. I pay yearly for it. You get all the plugins, you get all the free updates. Well, it's not free because I'm paying for the subscription, but I get all the updates. I get everything up and running. I can download it and get going right away. So I do like that about it. And I don't like subscriptions, honestly. And I don't like subscriptions. You do get storage. You do get cloud storage with this. You get the ability to collab with other artists. I just don't like subscriptions. I don't like the subscription model. Pro Tools is also on subscription model. I just don't like it. Um, Later on in the future, I will be buying it straight out. I'll probably just keep the artist version because again, I don't see the reason of having a professional. So I'll probably just keep the artist version. But here's the thing that I like about Studio One. Those is not the only ways to get into Studio One, and that's why I want to do Studio One second, because it's a lot of ways to get into Studio One. We got those ways I just named, but we also have buying any hardware. This right here is by Personas. This is the Atom SQ. This is a great mini controller. I love it. I use it every day. And if you buy any hardware from Personas, you will automatically get Studio One Artist with that. So if you need an interface, say chance, you can get this Persona Studio 24C. That's the interface that I got. You can get that right there, and you will automatically get Studio One with it. So that's a good way to get into Studio One. Plus, you can get hardware. It's a great discount for it. And again, I really think you can do everything you need. I feel like 85% of you watching this video can do everything you need with just Studio One artist version. You really don't need to upgrade to the professional. But that was just my thoughts. And again, this is a conversation. So if you have anything you want to add on to this, go ahead, drop it low in the comments and drop it low in the comments. Damn. Go ahead and drop your comments down there. I'll be in the comments after this go live. So definitely drop it. Go down there in the comments. Let's continue the conversation. Let me know what you think about everything. But those are just the pricings, your entry points to everything. And let's talk about the startup, templates, and everything like that. So we right here, this is the Logic startup window, and this is Studio One startup window. Now in Logic, as you can see, we got a new project right here. These if you want to start a blank project. We had the recent projects we was working on. We got everything right here. We got the starter grids. These right here is pretty much their templates that you can use and load up and start working with those. And we got tutorials where they break down everything. They go over everything, pretty much show you how everything works. We got demo projects where people recorded songs. You can go look at how they recorded their song, their vocal chain, stuff like that. Everything that they're using. You got the project templates. Again, this is templates you can use. Hip hop, electric, everything you can use just to get started. They put the stock plugins down so you can just get started, get to working. And then we have my templates. My templates is the templates I created when I was using Logic. And these are the quickest way that help me with my workflow. Go through, take your time, creating a template for yourself so you can really have everything you need when you first starting out. You can get your idea out of your head into the DAW. It's one of the greatest feelings. So if you're using Logic, create you a template. Create you a template. It is wonderful. It's great and will definitely speed up your workflow. So with that being said, that's the end of Logic. Let's go over to Studio One and look at their startup. Now, again, they had these projects breaking up into different sections. They have the song window. The song window is pretty much your main project. It's your songs that you're working on, either producing beats or recording songs. All that go underneath your song window, the creative process as far as songs. Then you have your project window. Your projects is everything that you're using for your mastering. So once you finish your mixing and everything, and your production, your singing, your recording, go over to the project. You send everything to the project in a waveform, and you can start mastering everything in the project window. Now you're gonna have the show window, and that's pretty much for anytime you're doing any type of live performances, anything like that. You can start set up a show performance. It's something that I don't really use a lot, so I'm not gonna go into much details about that. But as far as templates, when it comes to Studio One, you have your basic templates right here, and this is for your songs, for your mastering, for your shows. It's all these, and then they have other templates you can use for like hip hop recording, stuff like that. And all these can set up tracks that they think you would need and everything like that. And they have they have video editing in Studio One. I haven't tried it out yet. So if you try the video editing in Studio One, let me know down in the comments. I would really love to hear about it. I just don't think I'm gonna use it. But again, these is all the templates, just like Logic that they have. And these are my templates that I created. And as you can see, the difference between this and Logic, I have no templates created in this. And this is on purpose. I really don't create templates in Studio One. And I'm going to go over that a lot more once I get to the workflow. But as of right now, that's all I want to go over there. So let's go ahead and load up a blank track with both of them. And we can start going over it that way. So as you can see, starting up in Logic, you got to automatically put down the track. It don't matter if it's an audio track, a software track. You just need a track down. So I'm just going to put a software track right now down, and I'm only want one down. We're going to create that. Now, again, navigation with both of them is a little different. They the same but different. And I like that both of them, the layouts is pretty much the same. There's a little bit of difference between them. Like, as you can see on this window, on this side right here, we have, and I'm starting to see that this right here is not working. Okay, we're going to move this over now that I'm looking at it. There we go. But as you can see right here is the presets and everything that you can use. You can go through your files over here and everything. I really don't use the preset window that much as far as the plugins and stuff like that. But as you can see on this side with Studio One, it's pretty much the same window over here. All your navigation that you will need for everything is over here. When you do come into Logic, you can open up your files on this side. So they both got their files on the same side, so we can both start searching for stuff. So again, the layouts for both of them is pretty much the same. The one thing that took me a while to get used to when I switched over to Studio One was the transports, the play, stop, fast forward, and everything. It's up top when it comes to Logic. So I was used to being up there, but in Studio One, it's at the bottom right here. And that right there took me a minute to get used to, but once I got used to it, it was good to go. Again, the layouts and everything is both same. They both customizable. So if you want to change the color of the background, stuff like that, you can on both of them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that as far as the navigation and the UI and everything in the startup. So let's move on to production. Now, when you're producing beats and everything, you want to get to your instruments. How you get to your instruments in Logic is right here. On this side, you choose your instrument. You find it first of all, and then you choose it. If you're using any third-party instruments, they're going to be down in other. If not, then they're going to be up here with the rest of the stock plugins. They had the recent, I want to say 5. They got the recent, 5 right here that you use. So I'm going to just open up this for right now. So I got this right here open. And as you can see, everything I had to do to get it open with Studio One, when you're going through and you need an instrument, you just pull it up right here. And you can just drag and drop it onto the track and it'll automatically create a track for you. I think this is useful. It's helpful. but it helped with the production. They both good at producing beats and getting the job done. Now, a lot of people use Logic for productions, for music producers. A lot of producers I know use Logic. Um, I think the workflow could be a little bit better in Logic, but overall, you can get a lot of stuff done in Logic. They got a lot of parameters that you can use. Um, they have a lot of effects that's already built into Logic, like the tape delay. You don't need you don't need a third party plugin if you want to do a tape delay. So I'm just gonna pull it up over here. I'm just gonna find a sample to use real quick. And let's see, desktop, sample library, and we just gonna go to, I still got my semantics library on here. So I'm just gonna drag this in here. And this right here do work great. This is wonderful. But I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna switch it to the fade out tool. So I want to use the fade out tool, but then I'm gonna right click on it and I'm gonna choose the slowdown effect. So when I play it, that's automatically in Logic. You don't need a third party plugin for that. I find that's wonderful. That's great. I think that's wonderful and that's great that you don't need a third party plugin for that. Also, let's see what else I can say. Transposing it. Now, transposing. Now, again, I'm not a master at all my plugin, everything when it comes to Logic and anything or Studio One. But one thing I didn't like about Logic is transposing. You only could transpose up by a whole octave, or transpose down by a whole octave. Now I want to do half step stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to do it. But the fact that it takes me a while to find it, anytime I want to do it, is maybe it's a problem for me. But it shouldn't be this hard for me to find stuff and really do stuff the way I do it, especially for a doll I've been using over a decade. I don't want to have to research and find stuff deep down in the programming that should be out up front. Now, Studio One, on the other hand, the problem I have with Studio One, no, let's start with the pros first. The pro is I can take that same loop, which this is not the same loop. If I want to change the pitch of it, I can right click on it, and then I can change the temp. I can change the pitch of it anytime. I can go up 2 octaves or down 2 octaves and anything in between. So I do like that as far as workflow, and it helped me get my idea out quicker. It don't have the same delay effect that Logic have, so you will be giving up that. Another thing that I like about Studio One over Logic is the auto detect the samples. If you automatically know, the key, not the key, the tempo of your sample, you can simply program it right here in these files, in the file tempo, and anytime you speed it up or slow it down, it will automatically match the tempo up with this. So if you ever want to use a sample and you want to speed it up or slow it down and you always had to adjust it, this is one thing that you don't have to worry about in Studio One. Now, in defense of Logic, you do have the flex time flex. You do have time flex. So if I click this right here, let's see, choose the right one. I click this button right here. It's gonna pull this up right here, and I'm gonna turn on the flex. So now I can drag it to how many bars I want it to be. So say 8 bars, and I got the time flex on. Now that I can change the tempo and it's gonna automatically time stretch everything out so it can fit in there. So this is a great tool, and again, they both get the job done no matter which way, no matter how you look at it, and no matter which one you use, you're gonna have a powerful tool. Now, when it comes to mixing and mastering, they pretty much the same as far as become mixed and mastering. This is the mix window for Logic. You can also pull this up by double clicking. Let's turn this off real quick. Double clicking on here. It also pull up this window right here. And they have everything that you need if you got mini, anything like that. But you also got the mixing window on the side here that you can do tweaks to each plugin. But this is the mix window I normally use because I use it on the second screen. So once you have this window up, as you can see, you got everything here. And if you want to add any effects, click here and you can add your effects in. Again, it had the stock plugins here. And if you want to use any third party, you go right here and you choose the third party plugin you want to use. And it's not that it's slow, but it's take a little bit longer to get into your workflow when you steady searching for stuff. So that's how you mix in Logic. And I've been mixing in Logic for years. One thing I will say about Logic that's over Studio One, if you come here and you turn on the flex time again, and then you can go turn on flex pitch. Now flex pitch is pretty much Melodyne, anything like that. When I reopen it, of course it want to add up right now, huh? Now I want to add up. Okay. And we're not gonna edit this out. We're gonna keep this all in here. We're just gonna roll with it. All right. Now that we got it, let me open this up a little wider. But it's pretty much like any type of other patch correction tool, and we can go back in. We can come in here and really edit the vocals how we want to. That's how I use this. Especially if you don't have anything like Melodyne, anything like that. This is a great and powerful tool that you get for free with Logic. And again, you can do any type of quantization. Quantization? Is that a word? Who knows? But you can quantize the notes how you want to. You can pitch it up, pitch it down to get the vocal sounding just right. I use this especially when I have a lot of singers. I use this especially when I have a lot of singers and they doing a lot of oohs, ahs, and they pitches all over the place when they doing this. I like to use this tool, especially since I don't have Melodyne. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But this right here is a great tool that you get free with Logic for vocal correction. And then you can use auto tune on top of that to help get it just right. So, yeah. That's a win for Logic if you ask me. Now, when it comes to like vocal editing, anything like that in Studio One, you do get Melodyne. You're supposed to get Melodyne. But I didn't get Melodyne. I thought you were supposed to get a code when you got Studio One to get Melodyne, but I never got Melodyne. I never got a code for it. So I have no way to pitch correct without auto-tune in Studio One. I had to take that a point away from. And from what I'm hearing, Studio One was missing a de-esser before they upgraded to Studio One 6. I don't know how true that is because, again, I use a lot of third-party plugins. So you let me know. If you use Studio One 5, let me know if they was missing a de-esser or any other plugins they missing. because again, I don't use a lot of their stock plugins. Speaking of stock plugins, I had to give stock plugins to Logic Pro. If you're using Logic, they have some powerful stock plugins. The EQ is powerful. The compression is powerful. I was mixing with the stock plugins in Logic for a while before I upgraded. So if you won't stop, if you only got the money to get a DAW, if you only got the money to get one DAW, get Logic and use Logic. The stock plugins will get you far until you able to upgrade, especially with the VSTs. Now, Studio One have a lot of VSTs. They have a lot of plugins, but some of them I feel is locked behind a paywall. And if you got Studio One Spear, you will automatically get access to all their plugins. But I think some of them is locked behind a paywall if you don't have Studio One Spear. I'm not 100 on that. Somebody double check that and let me know down in the comments. But that's how I really feel about Studio One stock plugins. They are good though. I have used the EQ and I have used the compressor. I haven't touched the de-esser. But those two I know is good. They great. The delay could be a little bit better. It get the job done though. And that's all I got. Pretty much got to say about Studio One stock plugins. I might do a video on producing and mixing and mastering with just stock plugins. If y'all want to see that, let me know down in the comments. Again, I'm all for it. I'm here to help y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all need help with, and I'm helping you. Now, the biggest thing that makes the difference between me using Logic and Studio One is the workflow. So let me show y'all this. Let's pull up a new from template, and I'm gonna open up my template. Now I'm gonna go with just we're gonna do this right here. Now this is my template that I use. There we go. Turn off the. I had to turn my mic off because this is also for recording. There we go. So as you can see with Logic, this is my preset. This is how I do all my beats, everything like that. And yeah, it's a lot. It's because with Logic, I didn't want to go in and start searching for different things. So I automatically made a preset where everything I need is automatically up here. It don't matter if I need horns, piano, synth. I had everything I needed right here. I didn't have to go looking for any plugins. They all right here. And the same with my workflow. Even with my buses, I automatically got my buses set up for my reverb, everything like that. I can start singing if I needed to. I can chop samples here if I needed to. I had everything set up so I wouldn't have to dig through everything to find my plugins. And it only take a couple seconds to really go in and find the plugins you need. But when I really have an idea out and I'm really trying to create at that moment, I don't want to have to stop my brain to really look for what plugins I need that hinder my workflow, that slow me down by a couple of seconds, which can completely take me out the zone at that moment. It sounds ridiculous, but that is how it always was for me, at least. That's how it is for me. So I made a template with everything I need on it, so I can really search for what I need. So I don't have to search for what I need. Everything is right there at my fingertips and I can start working. Now, take that right there, what I just told you, and let's jump into Studio One, and I'm going to show you my workflow in Studio One. My workflow in Studio One is a little bit different. I normally start with a blank template. And I start with a blank template because I know I can drag whatever I need into that template. Starting with Let's go over here to instruments. No, here we go. Here goes something new that I've been using lately. I've been using presets that I've been saving for myself, so I don't have to look for stuff. And I've been using Scalar 2 a lot lately. So I pull up Scalar 2, and as you can see, I got Scalar 2 here, and I got an instrument here. So if I go in here and I pull up, let's use this again. I pull up this, and let's say I choose a piano. So I got this piano, and I know I need to switch it over to Scalar 2. So then I go over to Scalar 2. And this is another thing that I like in Studio One that Logic don't have. It's easy to switch between plugins. It's snappy, it's quick, it's easy. So now that I'm over here in Scalar, I can automatically pick which chord progressions I want to go to. And let's say I want to go here, go here. So now when I click this right here, it's going to automatically play in the piano that I already pulled up. And this helped me with my workflow a lot faster, a hell of a lot faster. So now that I have a chord progression down with my piano, with Scalar and the piano I picked, I want to add drums. I automatically got my drum bus set up, so I can automatically pull up all the drums I need in the stat format. So I got my drums here. I got Scalar 2 right here with my chord progression, and I can go ahead and start building right here. And this right here changed the whole game for me, honestly. And I actually switched over to Studio One just because of that. It helps with my workflow. It get me in my zone faster, and I can start producing a lot quicker. So I went from maybe like 40 minutes to like, say 25 minutes on the beat. It might only save me like 20 minutes on producing a beat. But when you're in the line of work where time is money, that really matters. So I can get more beats out faster using Studio One than I can with Logic Pro, simply off of just the workflow. Now, one thing about Studio One I will say that I do have issues with, when I'm on a laptop right now, as you can see, I got my MacBook Air. Anytime I switch between using my MacBook speakers, headphones, or hooked up to my interface, I have to go in and manually change that with Studio One. Logic automatically followed the main audio output that I have connected to my computer. So if I have nothing connected to my computer, I automatically switch to my MacBook speakers. If I have my headphones hooked up, it's automatically gonna play through my headphones. With Studio One, I have to go in and manually change that each time that I switch it. That is a problem, especially with my microphone, because I always don't pick up my microphone right when I plug it into Studio One. Sometimes I have to go in and configure it to pick this up as my input one. Again, that's another thing. It's not a big issue. It's not a problem. It's just something I want to speak on. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about everything about Studio One and Logic Pro. Which one do I think is the best? Neither one of them is really the best, honestly. They both great plugins. They are both great to use. You can both learn and grow with both of them. Which one do I use at the moment? I'm actually using Studio One a lot more than I'm using Logic. When I first did my first videos, I said that Studio One would not be replacing Logic, but over time, Studio One has made improvements, especially the steps from Studio One 5 to Studio One 6, just a little tweaks like the ones I just showed you, definitely improved my looks upon what Studio One can do and how quickly and how it improved my workflow. Again, workflow is what drives my decision about this. Which one do I recommend people to start off with? It's dependent. If you on Mac, I say start off with Logic. and specifically start off with GarageBand. GarageBand is the same as Logic. They got the same tools, the same plugins, everything. It just don't have as much versatility that Logic you have. So use GarageBand until you're ready to pay the $200 for Logic and you're ready for that upgrade. If you on Windows, hands down go with Studio One because you can get Logic on Windows. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And I also want to speak on the DAW wars in general. The debate between what DAW the best, what is industry standard, everything like that. I figure it's dumb. The DAW wars are dumb. It don't matter if you're using FL, Ableton, whatever you use it to the fullest. And I say that because I know somebody that using BandLab right now, and he has fantastic music. He recorded and mixed all off his phone. And if you listen to his music, you will never know. You will never know. It sounds great. So use what you have. Use the DAW you have. Use the mic you have. And you can figure out what you need to upgrade as you continue to grow, as you continue to learn. So definitely continue doing what you're doing. Keep being great. And I hope y'all enjoyed the first episode of Community. The Community. I'm about to mess up this name a lot, huh? The first episode of Creative Talk Live. I know I made a lot of mistakes in here. I've repeated myself a couple of times. I'm going to work on getting it better. I hope y'all grow with me. And if y'all want to, join the conversation down in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. I plan on being back again tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're watching this on a review, let me know you're watching this on a review. Thank you for joining me. I'll check y'all out later. Deuces.